I think that a lot of these songs are they're very sensual because they're kind of they're loving songs. Because I'm making this music right now, I'm not sending it out to DJs to go play on big sound systems. I'm just playing it in the cabin with Catherine, and I love to make her go, oh wow, So a lot of this is based around playing music for this one person and having this very intimate experience of cohabitation in this gorgeous, beautiful land of Scotland.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, the photos you've been posting are insane. Just like surrounded by water and mountains, and got a hot tub outside and chickens and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Oh man, becoming a chicken daddy this year, that was not something I saw in the cards. But yeah, we got 16 chickens.
Damn. Wait,
can you name them all?
Welcome to the Mr. Bill podcast. I'm Anand Harsh, Mr. Bill's manager, and you hear background noise because this is an on-the-road version of the podcast intro. We just did the Mish in Northern Colorado for the Kill Bill project, which was sold out. Thanks to everyone who came out. There will be one more Colorado Kill Bill play in 2021 that's happening at Cervantes in Denver in September, so make sure you get your tickets for that. They should be on sale as you hear this now. Today's guests are Zebbler and Encanti of Zebbler Encanti Experience. I know them very, very well since I happen to manage them as well. Encanti's been on the show before, but this is the first time the guys are coming on as a duo because they just put out an insane audio-visual album, Syncorswim, which is out now on Gravitas Recordings. They're going to talk about that as well as a bunch of other crazy shit because they're all friends and they're into weird shit. So I'm going to cut this intro short. It's already long overdue. Apologies for not getting this episode out sooner. But again, we've been on the road and doing fun things. So get off our asses. You will hear Zebbler and Encanti in their own words now. Enjoy yourselves, take care of yourselves, and have a good one. This is the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you are listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you're 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 listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast. Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you got listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Cool. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on, guys. Yeah, I haven't recorded a podcast in a while. I did this like massive batch of recording them like a month ago and recorded like 50, and then I haven't recorded one in a long time, and they've just been like coming out weekly, but they're all from like a long time ago. But I feel like I shouldn't record podcasts that way because a lot of the podcasts that are coming out today is like me talking about like NFTs and shit, which is like, that shit is months old at this point.
So 2 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. Did you guys do any NFTs? I feel like you would do NFTs, right, Zebbler?
Yeah. So to be honest, my roommate, Devin, his art is actually behind me, Clear Void. He got me into NFTs because he just started right before pandemic on the website called Super Rare. So he was one of the early adopters there. He got in, got accepted, and just said it was kind of an awesome thing to try out. And it was just like a perfect moment for me because we all just ran out of things to do. There's no shows, there's nothing to do in public, there's no public installations that I could do. So that was kind of a good moment for that reason. But also it hit me when I started selling some stuff online that I've never, ever, ever made, like sold digital visual art before like that at all. I've never thought it would be even possible. There's no like distribution network out there available for digital visual media in the same way there is for music even. you just can't. It used to be that you can like get paid for releasing stuff on, music video channels, MTV, whatever. But everyone's just expecting visuals to be available for free online for everyone. And so it's just been kind of really amazing for me personally. And I'm standing by it.
Did you get a lot of kickback from like fans when you put out NFTs?
Kickback?
Yeah, like did people get kind of mad because of the environmental impact and stuff like that?
No, and we're not really doing anything as far as Zebbler Encanti Experience so far. We're just kind of I've been experimenting with it solo style as Zebbler up to this point. So maybe for that reason, but I've received nothing but like really positive feedback from people, and I don't know. I think there's just something about being a starving artist for a really long time and being surrounded by other starving artists, that when there was an opportunity to actually get paid for your work, people kind of celebrated it and cheered each other on. So our whole community, like, just we just encouraged each other to get paid for each other's work finally, and see what this new tech is all about.
Yeah, that was not the experience I had. I minted an NFT for I think it cost me $100 to mint it, and then it didn't sell. So really the whole experience just cost me $100. But then it also pissed a ton of people off on Twitter. They were like,
you got a double whammy. You had the double negative there. That's right.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So I lost money and fans.
Yeah, it's risky business. Everything that we do has like weird public ramifications of people deciding if we're cool or not. It's a weird place to live in a way. But it's also a weird place to like look at all sorts of digital transactions now. Let's say the stock market is becoming more democratized with meme stocks being sold and bought. It's like your cred in a way is your cred. It's like how much are people willing to think that you're cool is how much your brand is worth. And it's a weird landscape, and I could sympathize there.
Right. So in a way, you're saying earlier how people just kind of expect you to give away, or they just expect visuals to be free and whatnot. I feel like the same has been true a little bit of like music up until, kind of the recent Spotify years. But I think the value that you get out of it is exactly that, right? Like by giving things away for free, you get this like cred, and then from there you can kind of like catapult a career off the back of that cred.
Yeah. I mean, everything is currency ultimately.
Or everything is transactional maybe.
It doesn't need to be crypto to be currency.
Right.
I know. That's why, like, to be honest, sometimes I'm like really careful when other people offer me favors, because I know karmically speaking, I will owe them a favor now.
Yeah, it's like nothing is just done and then not paid for in another way. How have you been, Ben?
Oh man, I've been good, thanks. Yeah, I'm just out here in Applecross, Scotland, and living by the sea, and been going back to school. Been a student this year, and that's been very mind expansive. So I love learning. I love learning as much as I love teaching, and I think that after spending a decade not learning, then coming back into it, I was really nervous. Like, oh man, maybe I'm too old for my brain to work. and then all of a sudden, oh my God, I made a VST, and I never thought I'd be able to do something like that. So it's been a great year. I feel like younger this year. I mean, I know that's painful to say coming out of the pandemic and stuff, but things are really good. Really relaxed lifestyle here.
Nice. And you were studying some audio related stuff?
Yeah. Actually, a lot of that you hear on the new records. Last year, I think the most inspiring music that I heard was Rob Clouth's album, 0 Point. And when that came out, I listened to it like really deep listen, and several times. And I just kept hearing sounds, and I'm like, how did he do that, And the answer was somewhere out there, entangled with granularization and spectral morphology, all tied together in a really cool Clouth way. Fortunately, he was really open about it. He talked at Sonar Barcelona about how he made some of the record, and then he talked on the WOOG broadcast about what he was doing for production, and some new synthesis techniques popped up for me, like concatenative sound synthesis and NMF based concatenation, and I started just Googling these things and going down rabbit holes of reading, research articles. And just at that same time, I was thinking about going to school. So I combined it into my master's thesis. And so this year I'm doing a research master's all about concatenative synthesis.
Oh, that's awesome. Can you explain to people what concatenative synthesis is?
Sure.
Yes. Can you explain it to me as well?
Yes. This is a great challenge. I'm gonna give it a try. So concatenation means to bring things together, and you can basically. Concatenation is kind of what we do when we go through our sample libraries, and we're like, I want a sound that's kind of like this, and you imagine it, and you try to find a close imitation. Concatenative synthesis uses machine learning to select sounds based on weighted descriptors. So an example would be Spotify is using concatenative synthesis. Shazam. When you Shazam a song, it like looks at the frequency footprint, looks at the spectral footprint, and it tries to match it against an enormous database. And it says, these patterns match this song. So what you can do with concatenative synthesis is use that same kind of algorithm, except you can show it like a drum loop, and then say, I want you to make this drum loop out of this folder full of other sounds, folder full of other drum loops. And it'll say, okay, it'll look at the first chunk is a kick drum, and it'll find the most close kick drum and then rearrange from folders of other sounds. That's essentially what concatenative synthesis is about.
Right. So you essentially, you give it one sound and you say, I want you to create this sound. And then you feed it a corpus of sounds or like a folder of sounds and say, I only want you to make this sound out of I only want you to match this target based off all this shit that I'm giving you.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. I feel like that kind of stuff has just not been like heavily looked into in audio, like electronic music production or just music production in general so much. I feel like everyone sort of got stuck on wavetable synthesis for some reason.
I know.
It's like every synth that comes out, it's like new wavetable synth. There's that granular synthesis obviously is like, it's kind of popular, but it's not nowhere near as popular as wavetable stuff. And then, you've obviously got like additive and subtractive and stuff, but I really feel like wavetable just like took over for whatever reason. But yeah, I'm really excited to see if concatenative synthesis, gets, it probably will never get to the same popularity as something like granular synthesis, but I hope it's like, somewhere in the realm of, at least there's no plugins out there right now really that you can purchase to just be like, hey, let's.
Actually, there are, because it's a very broad concept, and there's a lot of different takes on how to do concatenative synthesis. One of them out there that I really like is it's called XO by XLN Audio. And
but that's more of like a sample like a sample viewer type thing, isn't it?
Exactly. And it allows you to view and explore samples though based on automatically figuring out which samples are like other samples. So that is a way of analyzing the audio and kind of giving it these weighted descriptors. Okay, this is a long sound, this is a low sound, this is a high-pitched sound, this is noisy. And then it spreads it all out and allows you to explore them based on these similarities. So it's not putting together the sound in the same way, but that's the same kind of concept. That's one way that you can do it. Another one is by that company what are they called? They did the dehumanizer, Kronos Audio. They got a pretty good one out that where the the idea is you can go into a microphone, and if you're scoring the sound for a film, you can just make footstep sounds with your mouth, and then choose a footsteps folder, and it'll actually make that sound effect for you. So you can be like, and select horse hooves, and it'll actually make that rhythm, in real time. So that's really exciting. But the stuff I've been using has mostly been in Python. So my production has totally changed this last year. I sit there behind Python and I wait for an offline process to spit out a sample, and then I adjust some lines of code and do it again and again until something cool comes out.
Do you find that's like an interesting way to deal with sound design, or do you think it's kind of like a regression from having a GUI, or is it progression from having a GUI?
Well, I would definitely rather have a GUI, but a lot of this stuff is just really so experimental. With stuff like wavetable synthesis, there's a lot of knowns. You're like, okay, you're probably going to want a filter. You're probably going to want this kind of wave shaper, and there's the canon of tools that you use in subtracted synthesis is just so much more agreed upon. But this is a frontier where it's like you have 100 options. Who knows what's going to make the cool sound, so you try to put it together in different ways, and you build presets that just, work with one kind of thing versus another. But I so cannot wait for it to be real time, for it to be in Max or some plugin, something one day.
Yeah, totally. So you just made a new album. Is the album out yet, or is...
Actually, it came out today, at the time we're recording this today.
Oh, sweet. And that album has a ton of these kind of new production techniques on them?
Well, this album, I think it was my kind of a warm-up for what I'm doing right now. Right now, I'm producing music completely based around this concept of concatenative synthesis. But I was testing some things on this album. So there's really strange, like disembodied voices in the song, for instance, contact traces. And all of those voices are made by making a big folder full of voices and then sending just a synth melody into that folder and piece together the melody from timbres pulled from that folder. So I was trying a lot of these cool techniques out in the album, and they're scattered around, but it's definitely, just my experiments here and there.
I have a really good idea for making money. You should get the entire Splice library, like just the entire Splice database, run all the drums through a concatenative synthesizer, and then be like, make all different drums using all of their drums, and then sell them back to Splice.
That's good, man. I've been making some cool stuff with your Spectra pack. That was using that as a testing material all since September.
Oh yeah, it's like a corpus. Yeah, I remember you sending me a few things, and it's sounding pretty interesting for sure.
Yeah, sometimes it spits out complete gibberish and nonsense. So I think that I'm kind of approaching it like it's not the be-all, end-all of sound design, but when you combine it with granular synthesis, with all the stuff that we do normally, as a part of the process, that's when it really starts sounding good. And you got to make the conscious effort. You got to say, I'm not going to use a drum loop or a drum machine to make these drums. I'm going to make these drums by piecing together with machine learning a whole bunch of sounds from this folder. And when I get something good, then send that to the granular synthesizer.
Yeah, totally. What was the process like for making the album? Like because Zebbler, you don't write music really, right? You kind of just do all the visual side of the project. So all the like video stuff and the stage build and all that kind of stuff.
First of all, let me make a little love poem for Ben. Ben, I freaking love you. You are super cool, mate, and I'm blessed to have you as my music partner for the last 10 years plus, because it's been tremendous. And it's because of this super kind of good working chemistry that we have going with each other. The project is still continuing, and we're still doing what we're doing. and it's still pretty easy. And yeah, in the nutshell, Ben does all the music, I do all the visuals, and we both have veto power to veto bad ideas, which are all obviously subjective, but that's kind of keeps us sane that we can do that. So we help shape each other's art, but basically we're kind of left alone in each other's worlds as well. But with this album specifically, some of the stuff that I started hearing coming out of Ben's production really, really inspired me, just because I'm kind of a fan of this kind of textural, more IDM-y musical production.
Nice. So what was the process like? Was Ben just sort of sending you stuff and then you'd be like, well, that's cool. Like I have an idea for a visual component that could work for that, or?
I guess so. The one that kind of worked the best for us was the one with where the music video has a bunch of granulated sand that's vibrating to the music. I was just trying to see if some of these sand vibrations could look cool in a music video. And I mocked it up and I sent it back to Ben. And the track was basically just kind of like a synthesizer line. It was really, really beautiful, but pretty bare. And Ben saw the visuals of the sand just kind of traveling left and right, back and forth. And it lit him up to add some traveling sand textures to the entire piece. So there's like little elements like that. But then in the nutshell, we both are working in our own kind of studios. Ben was in Scotland throughout the entire pandemic while I was in Boston, and we were kind of stuck doing what we're doing. But we have developed almost like an intuitive way of trusting each other with most of the decisions by now. So pretty much he creates a track. Pretty much I always like it, besides a few exceptions. And then I just set out to create a music video to it. We have a bunch of meetings where we kind of decide whether the ideas going forward on a music video are good ideas. And then everyone waits for my first draft to either yell at me or tell me I'm awesome. And hopefully it's the awesome part, and then things can go fast. But when there's creative feedback, no matter how ouchy it feels, no matter how like depressing it is to just throw an idea away, like ultimately I found that having both Ben and our manager Anand like kind of crush my spirit a few times is good, because the end result is so much better. So we just try to go for unrestrained idea expression, and just shape it out of whatever creative flows are around us. This particular album for me though was way slowed down. It is a totally different listening and viewing experience from our previous stuff that tended to be a bit more hectic and kind of full-on dance party, like just like run into the middle of the dance floor, throw your hands up in the air and just go bananas. Like that is Z in the nutshell if you think about it. But this is more meditative, templative, like I don't even know what the word is. Contemplative. Anyway, contemplative. It makes you listen. It makes you kind of slow down, and it's an experience. So visually, for me, what it represented is that kind of meditative watching of everything that's happening around us. And because I've been playing around with the drone since Exit Stance music video, and been doing a bunch of time lapses as well, that vibe just hit me as the right vibe for the entire album. Because there's something, because it's a process. I had to put myself through the process of actually sitting in those places. Every single time lapse you see in all of these music videos was me sitting in all of these places looking at all this stuff. So there's just something so intimate about this for me, because it's literally every single piece that you see there has been shot by me and edited by me. So it's just like a window into a world that I was witnessing and experiencing. And also, a lot of this stuff was shot on this cross-country trip that I took the last summer in August. The whole country was basically kind of emptied out in the usual city spaces because of the pandemic, which brought on its own kind of eerie beauty and quality to the cities. in a kind of a weird, bizarre way. But still, there's just something eerily beautiful about all these empty spaces. And we also hit a lot of national parks, did a lot of time lapses there. And I ended up proposing to my girlfriend on the trip as well. So there's just like a lot of intimacy woven straight into the fabric of these music videos from my end.
Nice. So you took more of like a traditional cinematography type approach to this album rather than sort of all this visual, digital stuff that you were mostly doing before?
Yeah, and it's a huge kind of break from my usual style, I would say, where most of the footage and most of the content is actually photorealistic stuff that I've shot with actual cameras. Everything is edited kind of to flow with the music really nicely. And I would say there's still, I think 9 tracks there. How many tracks do we have then? So there are 9 music videos, and out of those, like, I didn't keep everything in this new style. There's still some really interesting GAN-generated textures that are pulsing with the beat of the music. That kind of stuff was also weird and trippy and crazy to create. There are some slit scan experiments where there's just stretchy, goopy bodies, kind of like some Rubber Johnny experiments in Aphex Twin back in the day. I was trying out some of these things too for this album. The sand texture experiment, while started being photorealistic, kind of departed into DMT world as well. So, there are all sorts of flavors in there, but the majority of it is a bit more contemplative and it photorealistic and just beautiful. I just wanted to feel some beauty.
Nice. Yeah, I watched not all of it, but some of these music videos on YouTube, I think.
They are all out. And that's been our point. From the very beginning, we wanted people to experience the whole thing all at once as an audio-visual experience in 4K. We're not shying away. The entire album has been released as a single mix yesterday through Shivlight. I think it's on Shivlight's YouTube channel right now. And it's a really cool experience. If you, it's kind of intimate, but if you want to like create a little gathering with a few of your good friends, like get a blanket together, a projector, get stoned as fuck and press play on it, I think you'll have a really good time. Because the whole thing is there. It's 4K. Everybody can just watch it. It doesn't cost you a penny to have this experience. We're not designing this for dance parties. We just want you to have this experience, and that's it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've not made an album like that when in pandemic mode. I actually haven't even finished my album, but yeah. If you watch it on YouTube though, how long is the mix? Like an hour and a bit or something like that?
It's 37 minutes, I think.
Okay. I feel like you're bound to get 2 ads at least in that period of time, like mid watching the thing. Then all of a sudden it's like Monster Energy drinks.
Oh my God. Yeah, there's only so much that I can control. I kind of used to fight for like really clear image representation with labels and managers and all that stuff. But it just gets overwhelming. I mean, like when Ben and I first tried our experiment, we were convinced that we could perform in surround sound in every nightclub. I don't know, but there's like only so much that you can fight for people to experience your art in the most pure way. I think what I'm going to do just to give people a chance to go full nuts is like, maybe we can just enable like a download feature too. So that, I don't know, for like some optional donation, people could download the entire album in 4K. And then there's no ads, no nothing, and they could just watch it at their leisure.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
So in the same way that like, Ben or I don't get to play in nightclubs in surround sound, and therefore we, or at least I, and I think a lot of other producers start to think about like, well, how can I make stereo the most interesting and also make my mixes the most compatible with stereo sound systems? Like, for instance, I'm always thinking about how my mixes pack down to mono, and I'm always thinking about like phase issues with like the left and the right side and stuff like that. Is there anything like that in the visual world?
Yeah, there's some really clear correlations. I would say the easiest one to kind of grasp is the pixel count. Because if you're a VJ and you don't have a consistent rig that you perform on, right? So like for Z, we do have our touring stage sometimes, but sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just do a fly out and perform in some nightclub on a random visual system. And I've been plugged into stuff that's just like 400 pixels wide and just so low res, it's like incredibly painful. And then I've been plugged into systems that are like 4K and just will overwhelm me if I try to push all the pixels during a live setting. So there's just that big range. And I think if you were a touring VJ, I would say a good experience is just to like try to optimize your set for being possible to present in really high res and kind of low res. And another thing for me, and that's just like a personal thing always, depending on how big the screens are, you can either be invisible or really, really loud visually. Right? So if your screens are tiny and like scattered throughout the club, you can use them as strobe lights. You can just strobe them and everything will look super cool and everyone will be super happy and like dancing with the music and vibe. But if you have giant screens that are LED screens that are just massive and you try the same trick, everyone will just go blind, So it's just like you have to adapt to like, not sure if it's in the same way that audio people adapt to the sound system, but you have to adapt to the visual system in a way that makes sense for the size, pixel count and brightness and the venue.
It seems like the visual side of things might be a little bit less policed and more unregulated.
Yeah, it's Wild West still. It's completely Wild West. It's like I've had situations where I've been completely forgotten about, so it's been rough. One of the best experiences though was like on our China tour. We just happened to be booked in a nightclub that was just like a giant professional nightclub. And it was wrapped in LED panels, like floor to ceiling. The entire thing was like a massive tunnel of LEDs. And they're like, here's your cable. And I just felt for once like a god. I'm like, this is what it's like to play on like a giant subwoofer stage, This is my chance. So nice. I do get treats once in a while, but it's it can be a little challenging too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the equivalent of just like blasting strobes through a huge wall and making everyone blind is like the equivalent of somebody in the audio world just being able to go as loud as they possibly want and as bassy as they possibly want with no limiters or anything like that. But audio people always like put limiters on the master and stuff like that. Oh yeah, we should talk about 9/11.
Oh no. I remember. Oh no. I am out. I am out right now. I'm just gonna have some of this chicken sandwich while you guys.
Oh, that's so funny because hey Bill, am I actually the how many people have you had on the podcast twice?
Let's see. I think the flashbulb's been on twice.
Oh yeah. Should get him on every other episode. We love that, dude. Jordan.
Yeah, he's a fun dude to talk to. He has a lot of interesting opinions on things, and he's just like crazy knowledgeable too. Like he's in just like every aspect. You can talk with him about like politics, and he just seems to know everything about that. And you can talk to him about like machine learning, and he seems to know everything about that too. And like you talk to him about buying houses, and he just knows all about the property market. And like the dude has just like got some well-rounded information in his head. I think
that guy's a genius.
Yeah, he all day, every day is just like pumping himself full of information.
Eloquent speaker too. I just, love his YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's great. I just don't understand. Like, I mean, I watch a lot of YouTube videos and I read, some articles. I listen to a shitload of podcasts. So, I mean, I'm getting all this information, but I just don't retain any of it. I have the hardest time retaining just like random things that I remember, or sorry, random things that I like ingest. And some people, like Ben is an example of this, are just really good, I feel like, at just retaining everything.
I've ran into some serious issues with it. And that's a kind of a funny topic for me too, because so I'm a native Russian speaker, right? I grew up speaking Russian as my native language, and like my second language was Polish, and my third language was Belarusian. When I came to the States, I was 16, and I kind of wanted to get away from my culture, like full on. It was just some bad stuff happening there politically and also culturally speaking. I decided I wanted nothing to do with it. So in the next 4, 5, 6 years, I started forgetting all of that stuff. And this is where I started developing an accent while speaking Russian language, which was my native language. So to see that transition happen was kind of weird for me. But then when I started playing shows and just like super focusing on becoming an artist, I also found that I put like weird blinders on where I just blind myself from stuff that doesn't matter to my task. And while I perceive all this information, it just gets overwritten instantly. So like, let's say you meet 100 people at a show, you just write them over. It just kind of happens because you have to stay on task, whatever your task is. If your task is to make sure your turntables are working, your brain is just on that one task. So I think the more elaborate our crazy life projects get, the more aloof and like dazed out and hazy brain we're all at risk of being. And I don't know, maybe Ben, you're doing something right, but I've been spacing out on things like, what day it is and like, what am I supposed to do today? And like, did I eat? Like that kind of stuff. And just because like I get weird form of brain energy or some kind of dopamine rush from just getting projects done. I don't know what it is about me, but that also is like, it's a risk. It's a big risk because like you said, it's good to be well-rounded sometimes. And you end up being like a singular pathway dork going in this direction. Sometimes that could be a risk too.
How do you forget if you eat, if you've eaten? Like you said you like get to a point in the day sometimes where you're just like, shit, have I eaten? How do you like not know?
That luckily for me doesn't happen that often. But it's more so.
Well, you can forget to eat.
Yeah.
I mean, I have some days where it gets to 7 o'clock. I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten anything.
Like you just get wrapped up in a project, like shit needs to get done, and you're like, oh my god, if I don't get this done right now, I'm fucking fucked. And then you're just getting it done, and then it's 6 o'clock, and you're like, did I eat? I don't fucking know. Like, I guess let's eat now. It's dinner time, but it's my breakfast.
Dude, that never happens to me, man. First thing in the morning, I'm like, I've got to eat before like anything.
Bless
like,
your heart. Bless your heart.
If there's like a task that needs doing,
yeah,
I'm like. Well, I'm like, I should eat first before doing this task because like
that's what I'm saying. Bless your heart, because like you take care of yourself first. And
well, it's not about taking care of myself. It's actually a lot of the reason why is Jesus, man. YouTube's just tearing my hand up over here.
Get him, YouTube. Get him, YouTube.
It's usually because I think I'll work more efficiently if I'm eaten, right? Like if I have not eaten, it's a good chance I'll just start to get like all foggy in the brain and like, start to lose concentration.
That's definitely a thing. Yeah. Efficiency is good too.
Yeah, I definitely this year, like through the pandemic, have started trying to take more of an approach of like take 7 hours away from the computer just thinking about what I want to do, and then just 1 hour at the computer doing it, versus before where I'd be like just 8 hours at the computer trying to both figure out what I wanted to do and doing it. It's kind of like
that's a good approach.
Like a measure twice, cut once type deal, I guess.
That pretty similar thing has happened to me too, is that like when I spend time away from the screen, I think about, man, I really want to do this the next time I sit down, and I think that when you get like that hunger of like, I gotta work on this kind of sound or try this thing out, and then when you sit down, you're hungry and ready to go, and I always get those moments, especially when I'm doing something that I don't particularly super enjoy, like chores. I'll be doing chores and they need to be done, and it's really good to do chores. But while I'm doing it, I'm like, all right, now I know the next thing I'm gonna do. And the cycle continues. Like, get a lot of work done, then do chores, and that makes you want to be more efficient. But if you spend all day just in the studio, first of all, your chores don't get done, and second of all, yeah, like you say, it's like you end up blanking out sometimes.
Yeah, not only that, but I also feel like what I've noticed is quite often when I'm sitting down at the computer, I'm not like doing the things that I was saying I was going to do when I was doing chores anyway. I'm mostly just like sitting down, all right, let's get all the things out of the way, like, Facebook messages and emails and all this kind of shit. And then before I know it, I'm like, I've been sitting at the computer for like an hour, not actually doing the things that I was like saying I was going to do. So I've been trying to get better about like using the computer as just like a workstation or a tool, where when I sit down, it's like literally just to do these musical things that I was thinking about earlier and then moving on towards other shit. So I've actually been spending a lot less time at the computer doing stuff.
Well, Bill, I've always been like so impressed by how fast you bang out work, man. I like the stuff that happens when you sit behind a computer for a day is just it's mesmerizing, man.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Likewise, man. I mean, you put out like how many albums in the last couple of years? Like 3 or something?
Ben is really intimidating these days. Like, you really are intimidating in that way. Like, I cannot keep up. And I know, granted, video takes longer to do than audio, but he is like, we're releasing this new album today. Ben pretty much has another album already made.
Wow.
Like, all new tracks, an album of bangers, and then like a whole beginning of another experimental, more ambient stuff too. And this is just me speaking kind of like as a collaborator and a fan, but I've never seen like this much creative energy pour out of a person. So, wow.
Yeah, that's sick. Have you found being in Scotland has helped with that?
Oh, yeah, man. Well, first of all, big shout out to my partner, Catherine Stewart. We have had a really great lockdown together, actually. I think that we've been calling the pandemic the relationship Hunger Games. Because if you can survive a relationship during this pandemic, then you guys are either meant to be together or you're coming out and you're getting a divorce. I heard the divorce rate's been going crazy because people like, and it makes sense because, there's some relationships where the synergy in the relationship is based around being like either going out and traveling and partying together, all stuff you couldn't do during COVID. Or it was based around spending less time together. Like, we both work and then we see each other for a little while. And I don't think a lot of people were lucky enough to be in a relationship, where you can be together all the time, And I think that for me and Catherine and I, one of the first things we really kicked it off on is when I met her, I said, we were talking about the relationships in our lives, and I said, I think that every relationship in my life is a long distance relationship. And she looked at me and she just had this like look of, man, I get you, because I feel the exact same way. She travels a lot. I feel like this last year has been like being with a person for like 2 or 3 years, because we've just really been able to see what it's like to cohabit and really connect in that way for an extended period of time, and it's turned out to be really beautiful. I feel like it's had a huge impact on this music here. I think that a lot of these songs are very sensual because they're kind of they're loving songs. And because I'm making this music right now, I'm not sending it out to DJs to go play on big sound systems. I'm just playing it in the cabin with Catherine, and I love to make her go, oh wow, So a lot of this is based around playing music for this one person and having this very intimate experience of cohabitation in this gorgeous, beautiful land of Scotland.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, the photos you've been posting are insane. Just like surrounded by water and mountains, and got a hot tub outside and chickens and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Oh man, becoming a chicken daddy this year. That was not something I saw in the cards. But yeah, we got 16 chickens.
Damn.
Can you name them all?
Yes, we've named them all. Some of them have rotating names. You got to like wait for a while and settle on the right name.
Damn. Wait, so you had less than 16 at the start of the pandemic?
Yeah, we started with like 5 or 6 or something like that. One of them got taken by a fox, and another one died because a lightning storm hit, and bless her heart, she fell over. She had a heart attack. The lightning scared our chicken to death. I know. It was the worst. But after that, basically, it turns out that chickens, when they lay eggs, sometimes they just start sitting on them, and then all of a sudden, boom, 5 brand new chickens. So we've had very broody chickens, and they've just been laying their own eggs and sitting on them, and then making other little packs. So we got different generations now. We got teenagers running around, and we got really little ones, and now we have another chicken. Zebbler, you didn't know this. We got another broody chicken. So I think that by the time, I see you guys again, that there will probably be more young ones running around.
Damn, that's awesome. Man, that's crazy. So, like, what do you do with all the eggs? Because, each chicken lays 1 egg a day, right?
We get about 4 eggs a day, sometimes 5, which pretty much keeps up with our consumption. And it's more in the summer and then less in the wintertime. Some chickens don't lay any eggs in the winter. But, man, I love fresh eggs. I love it, And they're just such gentle little creatures. We had a friend come over and call them nature's little screensavers. And that was such a good that visual is stuck with me, because literally you're just sitting there, and out your window they go by like a little pong ball just bouncing off the corner. It's like the little DVD logo. There's chickens living in your yard.
Hey guys, I also want to say something too, because I visited Ben and Catherine before the pandemic there, so I get to see that whole landscape, the whole environment that he was surrounded himself in for the last year. And we were sitting on the shoreline at some point, all looking out to the shore. And it just hit me that nature is the best VJ. It hit me there. I'm like, oh my God, look at this resolution. The pixel count is so dense. These mountains are rendered so majestically. And, it's kind of joking. But at the same time, he's in a really inspirational place. I think there's something about just that vibe that you are soaking in from these ancient mountains and the waterways. Like, he can look out the window and see a dolphin or like a nuclear submarine, whatever it is, and on another day. It's just like, and I could also see that new album totally making sense with that landscape, because it's a slowed down space. You are where Ben lives. You're like 2 hours away from a town. And to get there, you have to drive over like the tallest mountain pass in Scotland just to get over to that other side on these weird 1-lane, not even roads. I don't know what they are. So it's so remote and so desolate. It just makes sense that these types of sounds would be coming out of them.
Mm. Yeah, it looks like the craziest place. I'll have to come over and visit at some point. I've never been to Scotland.
Oh, we'd love to have you, Bill.
Ben, you were trying to do some kind of a audio artist retreat or school there temporarily before the pandemic happened?
Yeah, that was the big exciting thing that was happening right before the pandemic came down, and it was going to happen in late March. So, everything went down in early March, and we had 10 people that were signed up to fly out here with me here at Eagle Rock. And I mean, this is a big lodge that my partner runs. It's got beds for 14 people, but we had 10 people sign up, and we're calling it the Beat Retreat. And the idea was to just spend an immersive week where it's just you and the music, and we have hot tub meetings, and we have private lessons and a daily kind of tutorial workshop, and it's just music and headphones, music on speakers. We got all these. Catherine's a writer, so it was important to her to make writing nooks. If you wanted to write by a window and look out at the sea, there's every window with a view has a little place to write. Well, that also doubles as a really nice place to put a laptop and work on a beat. And I was really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to sharing this energy with other producers and seeing the vibe and the energy of this landscape absorb into people's music and curating an experience like that. But unfortunately, COVID shut it all down and had to refund everyone and cancel it. And this, I think, is probably the first time I've announced it. We're going to bring it back. We're going to try to do it. I think we're looking at September or October. We're going to attempt to do another beat retreat out here.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I definitely feel like location changes the type of art you make, right? Like I noticed when I was staying at your place, Ben, in Spain, that I was writing super different music to when I was at the time living in Colorado. And it's just, I don't know, yeah, I feel like there's different sort of natural rhythms and paces of different areas. And, Spain just had like a much more leisurely life pace about it than, where I was in Denver, where it was always pretty hectic and I was like flying every weekend and stuff. Whereas, in Spain, you're sort of just right next to the Turia, just walking down like some of these really old school, like brick roads and stuff all the time. And yeah, I don't know, it's just like a completely different vibe.
When I was there, I basically noticed that they're opposites of me in a big way, that they definitely don't forget to eat. They're like, they know what their life is all about. It's not about work at all. It's about leisure and friendships and kind of a more slow down, relaxed way of living. Although the politics are still crazy, but
I don't know anything about Spanish politics. What's going on with the politics there?
Well, everyone's just kind of trying to split off, and everyone's like mad at each other, and there's still a divide between kind of like the conservatives and the socialists, I guess, or the left wing of the people. And they have a really kind of a brutal history too. They had a fascist dictator for a while. I think besides my home country of Belarus, he was like one of the last ones in Europe. So, but like, that's always crazy because that means that, your parents or your grandparents were once killing your neighbors and vice versa. And just that vibe, it just can take centuries to resolve,
Yeah, it's crazy, like the knock-on effects of like things that happened generations ago that are still existent today. Like, I mean, the classic one, obviously, in America is like how black people were treated, right, in like the 50s, where it was kind of, illegal to buy houses in certain places. For instance, I don't think black people could buy houses in like Oakland until, the late 50s or early 60s or something like that. And, the knock-on effects of that is that obviously wealth accrues over generations, and that hasn't been possible for black people for reasons like this one.
It's been kind of strange for me is trying to explain the ethnic violence in Eastern Europe to my friends from the United States, because it's almost impossible to explain why a Russian would try to kill a Ukrainian or vice versa. Like, everyone here is so kind of used to it being based on the looks, right? You're either like that look or you this look, but you really can't tell them apart. Like, you cannot tell a Ukrainian from a Russian.
What if you are a Russian or a Ukrainian? Then can you tell?
No. No, you can't. I mean, like, I'm from Belarus. You can't tell a Belarusian from like a Polish person. We're just so close to each other, blood speaking, like, genetically. You can't really tell us apart. But the culture, like, oh my God, we have centuries and centuries of murdering each other. We know who is who culturally speaking. And those blood feuds, they go for generations. And I'm not kidding you. Like, that is what is expressing itself right now in that whole region. I mean, like, in Ukraine conflict, there's over 10,000 people dead. It's just like, they're fighting over something, but it's hard. It's hard to translate it into like American language. it's a totally different world. But I think it's also like valid to remember that everyone fucking squabbles with each other, and we gotta cut this shit out and just try being a global family, because there's no way to get away from knowing someone. When you fuck up a group of people, everyone is so connected now that you can't just go around be a conqueror without some kind of consequence to you. You know what I mean? Like it's a new kind of century. Everything is way more interconnected, and I guess shit can still fall apart, but I'm just like hoping that instead we use that connectedness to maybe try to cut all this evil people killing bullshit out.
Well, the thing with the internet, right, is you'd think it would solve that, because, you know, everyone now has access to sort of this one, let's say, like huge digital courtyard or whatever, where everyone can like hang out and see the same shit. But that's actually not at all how shit works. And instead, everybody has their own reality on their cell phone, you know, or on their computer. Like for instance, one day, Zebbler, if we swapped computers and like you just spend a day on my computer looking at my Discord and my social media and my emails, and I spent a day looking at all of yours, we'd be like, holy shit, this is like two separate fucking universes, you know, like it's not even the same shit at all. And if you couple that with the fact that most things on the internet that we spend our time on, which is social media, right? So like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the primary focus of these platforms is to service ads, and then the way that like these things service ads is they're pretty much all just like working via AI. So they just like track our behaviors. They figure out what it is that triggers us to interact more on the app. So whether that be like, you know, something that pisses us off or something that like makes us happy or whatever it is, and then they just keep like pinging you with that shit. So
hey, I have an idea.
App, so.
Why Ben? Why don't you do that for music, and just create a track that continuously auto improves based on people's reaction to it?
Or it just continues to serve them ads in the track based on like what part of the track keeps them there or something.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this person really likes build-ups, so we'll just play them a continuous build-up and every 30 seconds send them an ad for deodorant or something.
No, I think that there's actually some really great art that's waiting to be made with data mining. I think that, wouldn't it be cool, for instance, if you showed up to a party, and when you show up to that party, you log in on the app that says I'm at this party, and you give that app as much permission as you give any of the other apps. It looks at who you are, where you're from, all your pictures, stuff that you like. And then what you could do is in that party, you could make all the visuals and the playlist and other aspects of the media that you see be generative based on the data for the people that's there. You could say, oh, look, Paul and Mary over here, they both like Hootie and the Blowfish. You know what I'm saying? Like you could cause these connections to happen, and also display interesting infographics. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of really cool stuff that you could do just with the data that you can mine from somebody casually.
What if like there's a bunch of people at a party and nobody gives the data except for like one person, and then it just starts like posting their weird images up on a projector or something like that. And then... yeah, you'd have to incentivize people to give the data. That's how the companies do it anyway.
But in all seriousness, guys, like I think there is so much value we can gain out of artificial intelligence optimizing our lives, but there's also so much danger that can super freaking evil shit can happen so quickly with governments like being able to figure out where the dissidents are and, you know, rerouting their informational flow to make them more docile, like that kind of stuff. So it's a double-edged sword, and I think we need to not forget about both sides of it. Like I find that everyone's just been splintering off into like, oh, everything is going to be dystopian, or like, no, it's going to be solar punk and happy. Like, it's just both. Technology is like creating both bad stuff and good stuff. And and it's kind of going to be up to us to untangle it and figure out how to adapt to it so that the bad stuff doesn't take over and destroy everything, you know, but the good stuff helps us survive and makes us stronger. It's really tricky, but I really just don't want us to forget about both sides, so stuff can be a bit more well-rounded.
Totally. Though I think so long as AI is trying to serve you ads, it's constantly going to send you head on into somebody who disagrees with you on the internet.
Conflict it creates interest, I guess.
Exactly. That's what I mean. And then it can serve you more ads.
Yeah,
like
no, it's, yeah, there's all sorts of psychological stuff that's just like so bad. It's like the internet sometimes can be like worse than junk food for you because it just reroutes you into these channels that are, you know, they're designed to trap your mind in these loops. And like you said, put that computer away sometimes, go for a walk, get some fresh air, will be good for you.
Yeah, definitely getting into mountain biking through the pandemic was massive.
Oh man, I love the pictures you've been posting. I want to go mountain biking with you, Bill.
Dude, yeah, you should. Mountain biking's sick. It's very fun. Are either of you into rock climbing? I just got into that.
Well, funny enough, this is really funny actually, not like fake funny. This interview is interrupting my rock climbing invitation.
Yo, no way. I'm going rock climbing directly after this.
Yeah, I might as well.
That's why I was like, oh man, I need to be done by 2 because I need to go rock climbing.
Well, that's fine. I might as well go too. It's our mutual friend, Ben's and ours. Like his name is Marty. He's also from Alaska. Shout out to Marty.
Shout out to Marty.
He's been amazing as a friend and also inspiring me to just get into good shape. He's one of those guys that can do like a one-handed pull-up.
Yeah, Marty is buff.
He's out there in the gym waiting for me to just make fun of me. Maybe I'll go.
Well, the thing is with rock climbing is it's not about like being able to do a one-handed pull-up. You know, like there's people at the gym who are way huger than Yarn.
No, it's a puzzle. It's like a puzzle you got to figure out.
Yeah, like Yarn is very small and like, you know, not super jacked or anything, but she can climb the craziest shit just because she's got really good technique. She's been climbing for a long time. But yeah, it's kind of like a puzzle. They call them problems, especially on bouldering walls. Like, you know, there'll be a bunch of people huddled around what they call a problem, like all trying to figure out this problem on the wall. It's pretty funny. But yeah, it's all about, well, it's not all about technique. It's like there is obviously some strength to it. Like, you know, being able to hold yourself up helps. But yeah, it's more about energy efficiency, right? Like if you see a thing on the wall where it's like, yes, you could get up it by literally just like, you know, sheer strength, just pinching these 2 things and climbing your way up. It's like, yes, that's possible. But that's probably not like the most efficient way to do it, right? Like
the trippiest thing for me to get was that I could use my toes and just, if I don't breathe a certain way, I can lean against the wall and just use my toes and just the tippity tips of my toes to just like not fall off. And that actually preserves so much energy because so long as you're standing, you're not getting exhausted. But if you're hanging by your fingertips, it just gets old pretty quick.
Exactly.
You gotta keep moving.
What that's called, if you're standing on the edge of your toe, it's called edging.
Oh,
and, yeah.
Okay.
And there's also another type of thing you can do called smearing, which is where you like bend your foot like that and smear it along like a hold and the wall. And doing either of those things is definitely more energy efficient than hanging on with your hands because obviously your leg muscles are a lot stronger than your hand muscles. And also, you'd be surprised, like hanging out like with your arms just completely straight like this doesn't really wear you out that quickly. Kind of like a good analogy for this is if you're walking home like with shopping bags from the store, like if you hold your shopping bags like this, it'll wear you out really quickly, right? But if you hold your shopping bags down straight, it doesn't matter how heavy they are, you can hang on to them, right?
Well, it's easier. I still can't hang more than just a few minutes, you know.
A few minutes is a long time. Like you don't have to hang for a few minutes is the thing. You can generally figure out what you have to do within 10 seconds. So it's like, but yeah, man, it's fun. I've been getting into climbing a lot. In the same way. Have you
gone outside at all, or just indoor stuff?
Just indoor stuff, but I've heard outdoor stuff is like way harder.
It's fun if you go with somebody who knows how to set a route and use the rope well. They can help you out. And I think it's very different because it's not as polite, I feel like, as a gym wall would be with all the super clean holds. Like, you gotta just look for what's there and use whatever rock you can find. But it's kind of interesting. I like that fresh air environment.
Yeah, totally. I've heard, or rather I've seen on Reddit that a lot of the outdoor routes, they kind of have like chalk marks and black rubber marks all over the rock. So it's kind of possible to sort of see where you need to climb.
Yeah, for sure. The ones that are used a lot, they're pretty much like a gym route at this point.
Yeah, I was listening to Alex Honnold talk on a podcast yesterday. He's that guy who did that Free Solo movie where he like climbed up El Capitan with no ropes.
Oh, I want to see that one. I heard about that. Yeah,
so crazy.
This
the man's either
insane.
suicidal or brave or both. Probably both.
He's just, yeah, both, I think. But I don't think he's suicidal. I think he was just very, very sure that he could do it. But yeah, he
crazy.
He was talking about how people set these routes and they just climb up with no ropes and then they have like a drill bit and a hammer, and every time they want to put a hook into the rock, they just like tap it twice and then twist it and then tap it twice and twist it, and they have to do this for about 20 to 30 minutes to get each hook in. So to lay like an entire route up something like El Capitan, I think took them like a year or something like that. And these are just people doing it for like no money. They just do it because they like rock climbing. Like no one's paying them.
It's obsessive. Like I'm not kidding. I feel like Marty needed to have an intervention with him at some point because he ended up going to the gym like every day and just he was doing the tunnel vision thing, but with rock climbing. You know, that's.
I mean, it's not a bad problem to have.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's in really good shape. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think maybe it's a problem if it's destroying your relationships or something. Like maybe your wife comes home and she's like, "Damn it, Marty, we have to talk about your rock climbing." He's like, "Damn it, bitch."
Oh, poor Marty.
I'm just like trying to think of how that could destroy your relationship with people.
Yeah, great.
Like climbing for 2 hours a day. It's like, how's that going to fuck anything up? If anything, it might give you like some shoulder problems if you don't do it correctly or something.
Marty told me one time he went to Vietnam. He says that's one of the best places to go for rock climbing because they have these cliffs that go over the blue Pacific water. And if you fall in, you fall like 50 feet, but then you fall in the water. And, you know,
wow.
I'm not a rock climber, but I would climb out just halfway just to do something like that. That would be fun.
Dude, falling into water is still so sketchy.
Yeah, especially if you don't mean to. You're like, all right, I'm going to get to this.
Exactly. And also, like, yeah, if you fall into water a specific way, it's kind of just like falling onto like not quiet concrete, but not also very soft stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's a height issue, and like because based on your speed, like the water tension could actually be as hard as concrete.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, they've put nets up all around Golden Gate Bridge for this reason because some people jump off the bridge and hit the water and it kills them.
Sure, they're trying to kill themselves though.
They are, but that's what I'm saying. It's like
Yeah.
they're jumping into water still.
Yeah.
And it's like enough to kill them. But somebody jumped off the bridge and didn't die. And he said the experience he had was that when he jumped, he realized he could fix everything else in his life except for the thing which he'd just done, which is jumped off the bridge.
Aww.
And then he lived, and now they put nets up all around the bridge.
I'm just like
one time Zebbler got busted at the Hoover Dam. We were taking pictures. It's epic at the Hoover Dam. You ever been up there looking over?
No.
Oh my gosh! I mean, it's scary, but you know, we'll always get a good picture. At one point, Zeb kind of leaned over, and we had the camera above, and it was a great shot because it was just his dreadlocks kind of hanging over. But then they came on the loudspeaker, and they're like, "Sir, step away from the side of the Hoover Dam. That is not allowed."
Awesome.
It was really embarrassing, but a lot of fun.
Damn, that's sick. Yeah, you guys drive everywhere, right? When you do shows, so you probably get to see tons of sick shit.
Yeah, I've been to every state in this country. Alaska and Hawaii obviously flyouts, but every other state driving through for sure.
I feel like driving around is the best way to tour, but it's also kind of like the most time consuming.
It's exhausting. It's really exhausting. I feel like the novelty for me kind of wore off because like I said, I've been to every state already. And it's still fun and it's still funny, but the stuff that gets old is just like, your car breaking down on tour. It's like, oh no, not again. Like we got to go to some garage and find some stinking mechanic and like paw through the thing. And then like we're chilling on the side of the road, just kicking the curb, like that kind of stuff is sort of like I've seen it before. And in a way, flyouts make a lot more sense for that reason. You're just in and out, and it's a bit more cushy and safe. But I did take a massive road trip across the whole country this summer, and just because I wanted to. And I think that's a part of it that's also still exciting for me. Is that like I still like traveling, I still like seeing stuff, and sometimes just having the freedom to go wherever your eyes are looking at is still kind of cool.
Yeah, especially when you're not pressed for time to like be at the next show.
That's the thing. Is it like on tour? I think that's what you kind of nailed it. What wears me out is just, not being able to sleep sometimes. Like the show's over. Let's say Ben and whoever else is helping us are all nice and toasted, and they're like, "Dad, you drive," and so I'm like, next venue we got to go, and I'm drive them over till like 4 a.m. and then I just pull over somewhere and take a micro nap because I don't want to kill everybody in the car, and then kind of keep going and like wake whoever next sober person is and have them take over. That's been our thing. But yeah, if you don't have the time restrictions, traveling has been really like one of the best things in my life, I would say. It's the thing that makes me the happiest. And I would recommend it so highly to every American person, especially because people are kind of like really enclosed here. And I find that as soon as you're forced to live in another culture, it really opens you up. It makes you a much more tolerant person, and you can kind of just understand people a lot more easily, have a little more compassion for what they're going through in their lives too.
Totally. I also think traveling a lot just makes you more tolerant in general of just like shitty situations. Like there's definitely a lot of times when I'm hanging around a lot of people who aren't as well traveled as me, and something will just like go wrong, right? Like we're just traveling for a day of, I don't know, going to a theme park or whatever the fuck we're doing, and just like something won't go our way or whatever it is. And I find I'm just like, oh, whatever, a thing happened, like we'll just solve it. Like, and it doesn't really bother me at all. I'm just like fairly used to just shit not going my way whilst traveling. And yeah, I notice like a lot of people around me generally get a lot more pissed off about that kind of stuff than I do.
I'm kind of with you too. Like I've had a situation where I was going to Europe for Christmas to see my mom, and every single flight, I was on 3 flights, every single flight was canceled. And like, so I ended up spending basically like 3 days traveling to Europe that was supposed to take 1 day. Just like they would cancel my flights, put me at the hotel. I got stuck in London overnight, and it was just like a nightmare. But because I've traveled so much before, I just kind of relaxed into it, and I was like, all right, so this is what's happening. I understand all my options, and I had a kind of a good time. I quietly had a good time. I had a proper British breakfast, and eventually got to see my
beans
mom.
And all.
But I also want to maybe take a minute and like give my home country a shout out, because they're going through some shit right now. I've honestly been really depressed, and I didn't even fully want to do this interview because like I've seen people that I consider friends get tortured and killed in prison. There was just a funeral for one of them in the hometown of my grandmother, and it's just been really, really fucked up, to be honest. Like everybody wants revolution, and then revolution happens and your friends start dying, and it's a whole other vibe. It's really heavy for me. And this last week, I feel like the whole world got to see how fucked up situation is, because like, our dictator hijacked a flight, hijacked Ryanair flight straight out of the air, like escorted it with a military airplane to Minsk's capital to arrest a reporter. He like kidnapped 200 people just to arrest one guy. And so, you know, that dude is surely getting tortured now too. And it's just fucked up. Like these people he's after are like 20-year-old kids. Like it's really breaking my heart to see that kind of shit happen in the middle of Europe. It's just really not right. So just bless everybody there who's still fighting for freedom and democracy.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry to hear that you're dealing with friends going through that. And yeah, I mean, obviously I don't know a lot about what that country is going through, but it sounds fucked. I do know a little bit about that guy in Russia. What was his name? He was like this dude who was he was kind of like running a YouTube channel and saying a bunch of shit against Putin, where he was pretty much just like standing up against Putin. What is his name? I'm just going to Google it. People tell me all the time not to Google shit on the podcast, but I'm going to do it this time. Alexei something. Alexei Navalny. You know this guy?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, he just straight up got poisoned with radioactive
with
substance.
Yeah, with like a nerve agent, right? He was on a flight.
I mean, Putin and Lukashenko, Lukashenko is the dictator of my country, Belarus, and like Putin basically gave him a huge amount of money to have him be in power, because ultimately he just wants to gobble up Belarus as well and make it part of Russia, you know. So they're kind of the same person, and like Lukashenko's been learning from Putin, where Putin is like, hey, don't worry about it. I poison my opponents all the time. You see, nobody gives a shit, because nobody does. It's like, yeah, you can sanction them, but that's kind of like nothing to someone who has billions of dollars, if you think about it. And so it's just like the same rule book. He just realized that he has a whole country at his disposal, and he can scramble a military jet just to pull over a plane from midair to arrest a guy and torture him. It's nuts.
Yeah, the shit going on over in Russia is a whole nother level for sure, that we don't quite see as much here, I guess, or at least not as much in broad daylight as it seems to be happening over there. I really am curious to see what happens in terms of whether or not we'll start traveling in a direction of having less dictators and less, you know, of this Putin-esque type government, or if we'll, you know, somehow just go more in that direction.
You know, maybe this is just the nihilist in me talking, but I think it's just pure chaos. It's like sometimes we move in the good direction, sometimes people go in the direction of like freedom, democracy, that kind of stuff. But like we've had entire dark ages, you know, we've had Inquisition, we've had people's like balls get ripped out for not agreeing that we have like the same God and stuff. Things can go south on us so quick, and particularly, I'm really disheartened by how easily people are manipulated to believe anything. Like I find that like with the flat earther thing exploding on the internet, it's just like, come on, we are so manipulatable. People just want to believe. They don't care to fact check anything. They don't care to really puzzle out the logic of things. People want to be led. And because people want to be led, there's so many other people that are willing to abuse that and to promise anything they can in order to get to power, to then just do whatever they want. And in that kind of environment where there's no fact checking, where there's no checking to see if the person leading you has the right thing in their heart, like it can be chaotic. You can go through like hundreds of years, I think, of peace, and then out of nowhere, like a shitty person can turn it all around and brainwash the entire population, like freaking like Stalin did, like Hitler did, where like why you would think it's so outrageous that like you can kill someone who lives next to you for just their ethnicity, but people are convinced. Like our grandparents were convinced to do this, and there are wars around the world right now as we speak. So it's just like, I hope for the best and I'm prepared for the worst. I think that's been my outlook.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like in terms of fact checking, one byproduct of us just having unlimited amounts of information available to us at all times is that people no longer have the energy to like read everything that's put in front of them, and instead they just want like a hot take, you know. They don't want to know like the whole story. They just want to know like what's the main points. And if you're like a crooked news company, you can easily just put a few like hot take points underneath the headline and be like, this person is like this person is like this. That's all you need to know. And then like people would just take that and be like, all right, that's all correct.
It's been actually weird for me to think of like how much power media publications have when I think of how they're able to move stock markets, because like that's a good example, because a lot of consumer like stock purchasers are not really that educated in it. So they will just go and follow their favorite publication and just see what they recommend. And then the first thing that pops up is the recommendation, and we'll just buy it. And that's crazy, but it's true. Like it's really easy once you get to that point, and it's really useful to like have media at your fingertips. I think that's why so many successful politicians pair up with media companies or straight up own them.
Yeah, totally. Yep. If you control all the information, you control all the things.
Yeah, because you like literally, I think you can influence like 30-40% of the population so long as you just put stuff in front of their face that they like consume without thinking. You know, you can change opinions about things that way. You can, you just shift public opinion one way or another. And it's, I would say that there's no way to even win this fight in a clean way. It's like we have to use the same strategy of propaganda to advocate for goodness. It's just how things work.
Wait, so if you think governments are like this crooked, where do you stand on 9/11?
Oh my fucking God. I hate you guys. I hate you so much. Let me have some more of my chicken salad here.
That was my fault. That was the last time we got together.
That's all right. No, okay, let's get serious for a second. So like, I'm not going to really espouse my opinions about it, but I'm just going to give a shout out to Occam's Razor. Occam's Razor is just a really good like logic puzzle that you can think to yourself at some point. And that is, what is the most likely thing? Right? And so I find that a lot of conspiracy theorists
Occam's Razor
ignore the Occam's Razor conclusion and pick the one that's more interesting. And I find that I lose it with people when they choose interesting things to be real over things that are more likely to be real. And I'm just going to pause it right here because it's between Ben and I, it's been a heated topic. And despite of it, we remained friends to this point.
Yeah,
so let's keep it that way.
I think the topic was it was I think Bill asked me, is there anything that you and Zebbler like truly disagree on? I was like, well, never get us going about 9/11. But we're gonna stop it right there. We're actually cutting it off, ring fenced.
Yeah. I think Occam's Razor is actually the thing that takes the least amount of assumptions is usually the correct thing, right? I think that's how it works.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about it. I was just simplifying it, kind of.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. There's also another razor. I think it's called Handel's razor or something like that. And it's like that logic thing is don't attribute whatever can simply be attributed to just like negligence to like other things. Like if something can easily be dismissed as like just somebody being negligent, like it's probably that. Yeah.
Right. I'm also seeing a lot of that, like where if you look at how many medical mistakes, for example, are done on a daily basis in the United States, it's a staggering number.
Yeah. Do you know about the No Thing Left Behind campaign?
What's that?
It's so.
Is it about surgery tools being left in your stomach? Are you serious?
Yeah. It's called No
How did I even
Thing.
guess that? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's called No Thing Left Behind, and it's just like some campaign that's been put in place to stop people having like scissors and shit just left inside them after surgeries, because that apparently happens like a lot.
That's crazy. And I've been also thinking, a lot lately about let's say like you're a witness in a trial somewhere and you're a witness to a crime and they ask you to describe the scene that you saw. The likelihood that you're going to describe a real situation is like zero.
Yeah, memory is real bad.
Yeah, so memories go bad really fast, but also our decisions are influenced by how hungry we are, how hot we are, what time of day it is, what, like, all sorts of tiny little things bring noise into our ability to make a clean decision, right? And that noise permeates human decision making in mass. I think it's just like so much of everything that we decide is influenced by randomness that just pushes us one way or another. So I just feel like a lot of our decisions are really stupid, like not optimized as a humanity. We're just like, have you ever seen a team of ants try to bring a piece of bread somewhere? They're pulling it like in every direction and somehow it ends up in the right place. But I find that, like, you know, it's kind of like the same with our human brains. We're just like, oh, I'm gonna, yeah, let's go there. Let's go this way. And ultimately we end up in some place, but it could be optimized, I feel like, by a lot.
Where do you stand on free will?
I think free will is kind of a joke. And it's not a useful concept because I don't understand how something like free will can exist. Because, okay, like, let's say you are defining free will as you're able to make independent decisions. Like, independent of what?
Well, the definition of free will, I think, is that you could have chosen to do otherwise.
Oh,
like
so
anything you've decided to do, you could have chosen to do a different thing.
but it's just really confusing. It's confusing to me, and I think I'm more into surrendering to the flow these days and just understanding that I'm a tiny speck in the universe and that it's going to express itself through me, and that I'm a product of eons of years of evolution, and that everything that I'm saying right now is being influenced so greatly by the product that shaped me to be what I am at this moment, that whatever arbitrary chance there is for me to pick a different outcome is rendered irrelevant by the fact that I'm already shaped into this giant spear being thrown forward in time. And whatever surface level decisions I'm choosing or not choosing is rendered irrelevant by the sheer force of that motion. We're moving. We're moving whether we want it or not. We are product. We are gear. We are a cog in a giant machine. And sure, we can feel things. We can have our subjective reality where we feel like we're deciding something. But like in reality, there's been also studies that show that your brain has already made up its mind before you are aware of it. You know, so little things like that just cue me in that the whole conversation, I feel like, about free will is kind of missing a larger point where, like, I don't think it's a useful concept.
Yeah, I don't think it's a useful concept either, although I do think it's useful to realize that it doesn't exist in a lot of senses. And the biggest sense is in the way that we, you know, deal with people who do the incorrect thing. Right. Yeah,
it's tricky. I mean, like, I'm down to have a crazy, intricate moral conversation about all sorts of moral decisions, but it's tricky. It's really tricky. If you shift your perspective on that, it really shakes up a lot of how we treat criminals, or, you know, what we do with each other as humans. You know, it's
right. Yeah, big. I find that the best way to think about this is like if a bear or a tiger or something like eats your hand off, you know, you have a completely different reaction to that bear or tiger than if another human eats your hand. You know?
But we shouldn't really.
I mean, it's hard to say, right? I mean, if you don't believe in free will, then yes, we shouldn't. But like, if you do believe in free will, then we should. I don't know. It's a hard pill to swallow, though, right? Like, if somebody eats your hand, to be like, you didn't have a choice, it's fine.
Oh no, man! Like, I feel like I've been through so much shit, and I've had to like justify seeing like people tie up my mom with ropes and shit when I was a little kid. Like, there was just brutal violence where I lived that I had to make peace with all sorts of shit. I'm just like, nature and people are the same, and nature does really brutal shit to each other. Like, there's worms eating other worms from the inside, you know, and people will do the same thing because we're just part of nature, and it's just best to make peace with it.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it for sure. Cool, man. Well, did you guys want to say anything more about your album before we wrap this up, or do you want to say anything more about anything?
I would just say that a really good way to experience the album is probably to stream it in full 4K quality straight from the Shivlight website on YouTube. Yeah, and it's just a really meditative experience. So it's perfectly fine for you to not seek us out at a dance party, but just to have a private experience with your friends in your living room, like a private watching. You guys have a full blessing from me and Encanti to do that and have a great time.
Yeah. I mean, you know, total same. This is a, you know, it was hard figuring out what to call this album, you know, because it's not a chill album. There's moments that are like, you know, kind of epic, and there's definitely some beats in there. You know, it's not a halftime chill sunrise album in the same sense that a lot of bass music is. But I would call it a deep listening album. So, you know, if you whether you just listen to it or you go for the whole AV experience, I hope that it's something that people come back to and hear new things. I hope that it's will leave you with some feelings, but also some thoughts like, oh, how was that made and stuff like that. I'm just really glad it's out there. It feels like really, really good to put this out. You know, I think that it's a real moment for us today, and I'm really glad you could be part of it, Bill.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks a lot for coming on the podcast to both of you, and yeah, I look forward to watching the full 4K experience later, probably tonight.
Nice.
Awesome, man. Well, give Jan my best, and little YouTube there too. I remember when little YouTube was just born, when it was like 2 days old.
Yeah, you were there for sure when we just got her, weren't you?
Yeah, I had just got my cell phone, and those are some of the oldest pictures on my phone. I'll go and post it in the Bill group at some point. OG YouTube.
Fuck yeah. Hey, thanks for listening to the Mr. Bill podcast. These episodes are edited and uploaded by Robert Fumo. You can also support the show, get early access to episodes, and hear bonus content by going to patreon.com/Mr. Bill's Tunes and becoming a patron. Please rate and review on iTunes unless you're going to be a little shit about it. And all the links to my various platforms are at MrBillsTunes.com. Thank you.